Tonight, Jeremy tests Ford's new Big Cat. Tiff goes grassroots racing in a metro. And the weird world of limousines.
This is the Ford Puma, Top Gear's Car of the Year. It's cheap to run, lovely to look at, and absolutely great to drive. So you can imagine our delight when we heard that it was to get a bigger brother. And here it is, the Cougar. Let's deal with the facts first. It was designed in Europe, but it's built in America. It's available with a 2-litre engine or a 2.5-litre V6. However, if it wants to be number one, it has to beat this. This, of course, is the brand new 3-litre Alfa Romeo GT V6. It's my favourite coupe of them all. It is pricey, I'll admit, but it looks fantastic. And it goes like stink, and that badge is a bit more of a bird puller, I think, than the blue oval. Still, the Ford is not a bad looker, thanks to some sublime detailing. Whoever designed this car put some real effort into it. Then there's the space in the back. There's actually more in the Cougar than you get in most coupes, which is nice, but not terribly important. I don't even care that it's got a pretty colossal boot. You see, if I want something useful, I'll buy a washing up bowl. I don't care either that underneath this angular new edge body you find the Cougar is basically a tarted up Mondeo. I don't care because there's nothing wrong with the Mondeo. The top-of-the-range ST24 is one of the most underrated saloons that money can buy. It's huge fun to drive. And as a result, so is this. As this has the ST24's engine, you've got a nice choice, really. The Mondeo if you want 4 seats, or this if you want to look good. Mind you, they have made some mild mechanical changes to make this feel a bit more sporty. The pedals are perfectly positioned for heel and toe gear changes, and the driving position, well, I just can't think of any car that gets it better. At the right time and in the right place, this thing absolutely flies. The grip is just amazing, and the feedback coming through the steering wheel is brilliant. The V6 engine's an absolute barnstormer as well. There's a sort of muted roar when you get to the top of the rev range. Cougar, they should have called it the Ford Big Angry Lion. The trouble is, it isn't actually all that fast. With just 168 brake horsepower, the top speed is only 137, and 0 to 60 takes a ponderous 8 seconds. Meet a GTV6 at the lights and he'll gobble you up without even noticing. So, let's have a think then. The Alfa is faster and better looking, but the Ford is considerably cheaper and more practical. It's anybody's game. And it doesn't help when you come inside either. The Cougar's dash may feature 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different types of plastic and therefore be messier than a monkey's breakfast. But it has the sort of toys that Alpha Man can only dream about. Traction control, air conditioning, trip computers, CD. It's got the lot. You get big, comfy seats too, but I wish they had more side support. And I wish there was a clutch footrest too, because this isn't a cruiser. It's an out-and-out sports car. It is a worthy big brother to the Puma. It's much better than the old Probe. It's a dream to drive, and yet it comes with real-world fuel and insurance bills. Great. But is it better than the Alfa? I have to make a decision here on 2 counts. Which car do I most want to drive home tonight? Well, that's the Alfa. And which one do I most want to own for a year? Well, if you've got any common sense at all, you'll take the Ford. But if you've got any common sense, you won't buy a cramped, expensive coupe, you'll buy a nice saloon. But I don't want a nice saloon. I want the Alfa. Ford gets close, but not close enough.
Let's face it, there are times when you know a car is doomed well before its life is over. The Metro, launched in the shadow of Britain's beloved Mini, never really stood a chance. And ancient mechanicals, poor build quality, and a despairing tendency to turn to rust only made matters worse. Yet, despite all that, over 1 million Metros were sold before its demise at the end of last year. So now it must be our responsibility to rid the world of these miserable machines. On the other hand, could this wretched car actually have a greater destiny? Another life that might launch a glittering career? Incredibly, there are those who think it might. As a first step into motorsports, there are few cheaper ways to go motor racing than with the MG Metros.
Grids are always packed. It's very close racing. There's always 4 into a corner, door handle to door handle sort of stuff.
The Metro Championship's very competitive, and there's a lot to learn about motorsport in general at this grassroots level that we have here.
They may not be missiles down the straight, but through the corners and on the brakes, they are a good laugh.
We're here at Silverstone for round 6 of the 12-race MG Metro Championship, where hordes of these little cars, all costing less than £2,500, are here to have some fun. And they've saved the 1982 model from the crusher so that I can join in the action. All you need to do is give your rescued road car a snazzy paint job, put on the regulation wheel rims, strip out the interior, and install a rollover cage, and then just add your choice of racing seat and a full racing harness. The championship is split up into 3 classes. Class A, which I'm in, is for virtually standard cars, about 75 horsepower running on road tyres. Class B can tune the engine slightly up to about 85 horsepower, and they run on semi-racing tyres. Whilst Class C, the big boys, are the Metro Turbos. Whichever class you're in, Metro racing is a friendly formula where everyone helps each other out and where 2 of Britain's top touring car stars learnt their craft. So what's your fondest memories, you think, of little Metros?
Oh, I had the odd race win and things, but the actual racing was just fantastic because the cars were all very, very equal. In those days, there was only 1 class of racing in the championship and probably 30, 35 cars on the grid, so it was incredibly close and great fun. The biggest tip I can give you is about 100 yards before the first corner, just close your eyes. And that's served me well in touring cars ever since.
Do you think driving them taught you anything that you used to become a touring car star?
Yeah, to get away at the beginning. Start and get the hell out of there and get in front.
So you think some of these club racing Metro drivers could be touring car stars in the future?
I'm sure there are. I'm sure there's people in the grandstand, there's people in this grid that are just as good as me and you, or
you know, or maybe even some of the Formula One stars. But, you know, unfortunately, they might not get the chance to show it.
Well, some of them are a bit fast today, Steve.
I heard you're not doing very well, Tiff. You were a bit confident at the beginning, and it's not looking very good now.
All right, don't rub it in, don't rub it in. I'd qualified 6th in class and 22nd overall, so I had a lot to do. And we're away! Oh, they're hitting each other. Dear, oh dear. By halfway round the second lap, though, I slipped up the inside of Wayne Parker to take 2nd in class. Things were looking up, but then I caught Class B racer Gary Richmond, who held me up in the corners, but pulled away on the straights. Get out of my way and stop ruining my race! Better, boy, you're learning. Better, better. Right, well done. You see, he's only a novice. The guy is having fun. He's learning about motor racing. And he's learning fast. But of course, he's got a good teacher. With class leader John Retchless too far away to be caught, my main concern was just to hang on to 2nd. But by now, my engine was starting to overheat. I could have won. Honestly, I could have won. Still, there's always the next race, and for some low-budget fun, it's hard to beat metros. So, before you do this, remember, someone might want to do this.
Volvo have reinvented themselves, and it all started with the riotous T5, a Volvo for people who normally bought BMWs. Then came the city slick and super smooth C70 Coupe. All they lacked to complete a total image invigoration was a luxury charger.
Which is why Volvo have come up with an entirely new Executive Express, the S80, meant to take over from the aging and perpendicular 900 series. And this is one Volvo, I promise you, we won't see in estate car guise. But it has an horrendously difficult task ahead of it, because it's up against the big boys, the likes of BMW, Audi, Mercedes, and Jaguar. Suddenly the Swedes have got rather confident.
Enough of the acrobatics. S80s are powered by 5- and 6-cylinder transverse engines, 3 petrol and 1 diesel. They're front-wheel drive, carry 18 different computers, have air conditioning as standard, and prices kick off at £22,000, rising to 36 grand for this, the Big Daddy, the T6. But despite 272 horses and twin turbos, this T6 doesn't feel like a driver's car. The ride is restless and fidgety, it doesn't feel composed. And the power steering pump, it seems like it can't keep pace with the wheel. At the straight ahead position, it feels vague and lumpen. And then when you turn in, there's not much crispness. It feels a bit flaccid. Inside, it really is a paragon of ergonomic design, a control freak's paradise. You've got the usual things like cruise control, air conditioning, electric memory seats, trip computer, but there's also a little switch here which folds your headrests flat for reversing, another switch here for folding your door mirrors in for those close encounters, lots and lots of cup holders, even a little coin dispenser. But the pièce de résistance has to be this, which is the satellite navigation. You press a button here on the steering column, and up from the fascia,
700 meters ahead, turn right,
comes your screen, which tells you where to go, where you should be, this disembodied voice.
Turn left.
And it's supposed to be the safest Volvo yet. Not only does it have SIPs, side impact protection system, but it's now got WIPs.
Turn left.
Whiplash protection system, which is where the headrest and the backrest of the seat go back if you're rear-ended. And there's also an inflatable curtain as well, which comes down from the headliner if you're T-boned and separates you, hopefully, from the glass.
Turn right.
This car is safer than staying in bed.
In lots of ways, it's very good, handsome, cosseting, quick and well-specced. But it lacks one vital ingredient, essential to the world of corporate high flyers. When you ooze into your reserved parking space and walk away to the boardroom, it doesn't insist you turn around for that second admiring glance. It doesn't try to seduce you. And frankly, if you don't look twice, why should the birds? Don't misunderstand me, though. The S80 will always get you to that meeting quickly, softly, and safely. But if you're looking for any more than that, you could be disappointed.
And it's not because the S80 doesn't have a certain shoulder-padded authority. It does. In the company of the Germans, it looks confident and self-assured. No, its problem is a simple one. It's just too earnest, too uninvolving, too unemotional. And when you're spending between £22,000 and £37,000, emotion should come as standard.
Not sure about that. I mean, how can you love a place where they're world champions at making everything either big, vulgar, or absolutely tasteless? In Los Angeles, if anything stands still for 10 seconds, it'll get a facelift, and that includes the cars.
We do have stretch limos in England, but they're usually quite sad affairs filled with cheap velour and boxing promoters. There's not many about either. Whereas out here in Los Angeles, they turn them out like Ford Escorts. And naturally, being LA, they treat them almost like an art form.
There are only 12 limousine builders in America, and LA-based Classic consider themselves the best. Customers who they've stretched cars for include the King of Thailand and martial arts movie tough guy, Steven Seagal.
The basic recipe is to start with a squidgy $40,000 Lincoln Town Car, add 10 feet in the middle, and $25,000 later, end up with this.
Clinton may be having trouble lighting his cigars, but his economy is booming, and so is the limo business, with Classic alone turning out 400 a year. And if you're the type who judges a book by its cover, then you won't be disappointed.
We offer an interior like this, which is called a Wave. It's one of the newest things out on the market today. It's real popular. It's kind of showy, disco-y, you know. We offer a full business, short set in. It has a computer in it, fax machine, everything that you'd need in your office.
Well, that's all very well for people who want to work, but this is more what I meant. Talk me through what we're in here.
This is kind of like the ultimate party wagon. It's got the stainless steel chrome ceiling. This gives you the mirror effect, and it stays shiny, and you've got the disco lights that do different things on the sides. You've got the different colored fiber optic lights. It's a mini Vegas on wheels. All the glass lighting up. You've got your champagne well that opens and closes with mirrors. You've got your ice chest here. It's just a new style, sleek.
TV behind you.
Yeah, TV and TV VCR in the end.
And I'm going to demonstrate, because I've got the machinery here to do it. I've got the partition going down. And we can see out into your workshop with everybody working away.
Those workers take around 8 weeks to build a normal $65,000 stretch. But for $500,000, they'll give you something a bit more serious.
Ted, this is a Mercedes, so I'm going to take a wild guess and say that it's a special car destined for a faraway country, yeah?
It is going for export. It is armored to level NIJ-3, which will protect it against high-powered rifle fire. Typical NIJ, National Institute of Justice. It's a testing standard used throughout the world for military testing. This particular vehicle is armored to protect against AK-47, M16, and your NATO 308. It will take direct hits. It has 1 3/4-inch ballistic glass in it with what we call a no-spa interior, so if it is struck, there are no glass shards that come out from the inside.
And that'll stop a AK-47?
AK-47 can stitch this at point blank. The door, the ceiling, the roof. But most important, bad guys seem to know that you can shoot through the edges of cars. This car has a complete ballistic steel inner liner, as well as an inner liner between the windshield and the edge. So there's no edge that a person can shoot through.
So bad guy, I never knew that.
Bad guys shoot at bright parts. That's kind of a motto in our industry.
In Latin, on their school caps.
Some owners can even fight back. One customer, for example, installed this remote control-operated machine gun in the boot. But on a lighter note, across town, there's a rival limo builder who will stretch the most inappropriate cars he can find, like this low-slung, sporty Mustang.
Yes, I want a gold ring, riding in a limousine. I'm working so hard to give you any love.
And this is a mere tea-break project for the man they call Big Vinny.
Well, you see, we did Mustangs, Testarossa Ferraris, Lamborghini Countaches, Porsches, Rolls Royces, Bentleys, Maseratis. We stretch everything.
You've done some unusual ones in the past too, yeah? Didn't you have a golf green and the longest one in the world?
Oh yeah, we did the world's longest 105 foot with a putting green and a helicopter, swimming pool, jacuzzi, 26 wheels.
Who buys this kind of gear that you do?
Just different people, millionaires, celebrities.
What celebrities have you built cars for?
Sylvester Stallone, John Travolta, Zsa Zsa Gabor, Clint Eastwood, Time Minnesota. You go on and on, 450.
And here we are, back in yet another sumptuous limo interior. But this time, it's nothing compared to what the car is like on the outside. And you want to guess what it is? Well, place your bets now.
Time's up, and Vinny's won again, because now he's taken Arnold Schwarzenegger's favorite car and made it into something really special for Oscar night. The only trouble is, everyone will have gone home by the time your Hummer gets there, because with an extra 14 feet of body, the poor old turbo diesel has to haul 6 tons of car. Now, is this limo bug contagious? Well, of course it is if you live in LA. Take any ordinary local, give him a couple of crummy cars, and he'll have a stab at DIY stretchery, even if it's only got 38 horsepower and looks like 2 Hondas enjoying an intimate moment.
This is 2 Honda 600s coupe models that were wrecked, one in the front and one in the rear. And rather than just scrap the things out, I decided I'd see if I could put them together. So I did my plans to see if it was possible. Decided, yeah, it could be done. So I went to cutting and fitting until I just stuck it together. And it stood up so well, you could jump up and down on it before any bolts or anything were put in to hold it together.
So what do your friends and family think about this?
They think it's completely out of reason, I mean. But on the other hand, we've been approached by several people that would like to use it for school get-togethers, proms and things like that, weddings.
At the end of the day, if you're a bloke at least, these limos are all about attracting the opposite sex. So if you fancy a night on the town in LA, but the interior doesn't grab them, and they're not too impressed with your length, then this one has a secret weapon that should do the trick.